everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of Felixstowe Matters. This is the beginning of a great week. We're here very optimistic for the weather for this week, but after a glorious bank holiday weekend, we'll see what can turn up. And talking about the weather, we shall be talking lightly about holidays. But join me on the sofa today, we have Mr. Graham Newman, who's our county councillor.
Hi, Mike.
Hi there, and welcome to Felixstowe TV yet again.
Thank you very much. And, nice to be here.
Yeah, we'll try and sort out some more problems with the world, shall we?
If at all possible. We'll queue up in half an hour, like all television does.
Well, to start us off, we're a holiday location here in Suffolk. Where do people who live in a holiday location go on holiday?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I mean there's been so many holidays in the past where I've returned to Felixstowe and thinking to myself, why did we ever go away? I suppose in one sense, 2 years on the trot now, I've been doing these coastal and local walks,
yes, absolutely,
which are through the areas of outstanding natural beauty. Mm-hmm. And in the past year, we've had a new book published, which we can just show the viewers.
We can, if we hold it up
Suffolk
to that
Coasts and Heaths Walks Guide. And that really gave a cue to my 10-year-old daughter and myself to walk the Stour and Orwell Walk. Now, ironically, although it's called the Stour and Orwell Walk, that's because Orwell and Stour Walk doesn't pan quite so well.
That's right,
in fact, the actual book talks about doing it in the reverse direction, starting from Felixstowe Landguard Point and going round ultimately to Catawade and obviously then to Manningtree. It's actually in Essex, but Catawade is the last place in Suffolk.
Wow.
And it's 42.5 miles.
I was going to say, that's no mean feat in itself, is it?
Well, it depends on what state you're walking in, I suppose. I mean, if you're somebody who's just come back from the Olympics, you probably do 42.5 miles in a day. But probably for the more human of us, that's a walk that could really be done in 2 days. I took 4 days to do it with a 10-year-old, but also did it within public transport as well. So just starting off from home in the town here, I must admit we didn't actually start from Landguard Point. We started from home and walked down to the area where the dock is now building the new rail terminal, right at the edge of Parker Avenue. Yeah. You can't get across that footpath at the moment because they're doing the building works, but we actually joined it from the sort of the Trimley direction, if you like. And so we started at that point, so you have a super walk right over the top of the new rail terminal, and indeed the whole of the Trinity terminal of the dock. And that is always for me a surreal walk, because there's all this activity going on your left hand side. On your right hand side, you're in the middle of the countryside.
Right, you've got the Trimley Nature Reserve.
Well, and then of course that's the next thing that you encounter once you take that long walk round the far end, the far northwesterly end, I guess, of the Trinity terminal. Yes. You're then really out in the country, and as you say, in the nature reserve, which is a super location. And I mean, there's even that, I hadn't realised just how good the facilities are down there. Not only you've got the hides there,
absolutely.
You've got loos there, you've got study rooms and everything,
But we did a series on the Trimley Nature Reserve. Yeah. We went back 3 or 4 times, I think it was, at different stages of the year, spring, summer, autumn, winter, to see how they prepare the reserve, because there's a lot of work going on there. It's not just left, No. It has to be prepared for the next season, if you like, of all the birds that are coming in. And we had a wonderful time. As you say, the facilities are great.
And I mean, you mentioned work going on all the time. In fact, the Ranger's got a sort of blog, if you like, on the whiteboard in the little study room there, saying the things which have been seen this month, which are unusual, or lots of this sort of bird have been there and that sort of stuff. So I mean, it's there for people to sort of find unusual stuff themselves and also record unusual sightings. So
we went down there, and they'd actually drained, because he controls the amount of water in that nature reserve. There's a big sluice there, and he drained one of the lakes, and there was an army of volunteers out there. They cut all the grasses and everything, and they were making the lake ready for when they let the water in again, ready for the next season of birds. And it was a wonderful time we had down there. You're out in the open, no noise, you've got the birds tweetering and things. And
that's right.
You could be anywhere.
We could be further up the coast, or indeed you could be on the south coast, or anything. It's a glorious location there.
It is.
And then you come along there. I suppose the next major feature along there is probably Leamington Marina. Right, walk pretty well through the marina, and then round on.
Do you come in at the far end? Do you walk by that lake?
Yes, you do. Yes,
you
walk
pass
the
lake.
The lake there. Of course, that also has a sluice out to the water there, on the sort of Trimley Shores area.
That's it. You go down.
Nice.
You
could probably get to at the end.
Yeah,
I had walked that once, quite a long time ago.
Yeah, I haven't done that walk myself lately. But from Leamington, where does it take you from there then?
Well, you basically come along to the back of the Orwell School at Nacton.
Oh, right.
The walk actually brings you up to Nacton Church, and I suppose that possibly is the more disappointing neck of the walk, because you're no longer on the river shore, and actually then have a road walk all the way from Nacton Church right up to Ravenswood, and in fact on the road up to the Harrow Trees Scout and Cub ground, and also I think you've got Priory,
you got the
Caravan Park there, and Orwell Park caravans there.
That used to be down the side of the airfield, didn't it?
But then if you just think when you're going along the A14, hammering along to the Orwell Bridge, just before you get to the Shoal Garage that's on the left of the Orwell Garage, there's actually a footbridge across the road. You go across there, it's a footbridge. I think it's a single track road as well.
Single track.
And then you can turn right then off into the wood. Yes. And that takes you then right back down onto the riverbank again.
That's it.
Underneath the Orwell Bridge, but then the path bends round and takes you back under the Orwell Bridge, so you come up on the sort of Felixstowe side of the bridge.
Oh, right.
And then you can walk the bridge.
Then you can walk the bridge.
People don't realise, I don't think, that from the sort of two expansion joints at either end, that's nearly a mile. It's 0.9 of a mile if you measure it on your car as you go along. It takes about 15, I think it's got 17 minutes to walk it.
That bridge is a fantastic piece of engineering, isn't it? It's
worth
worth doing that walk, just to walk over the bridge, quite honestly, because when they were actually building that bridge, I worked for a newspaper at the time. I was a freelance photographer, and they gave me the task of plotting the progress of the bridge, and I was privileged to actually go up to the top. And it's actually two bridges, isn't it?
Yeah, it's two bridges.
It's two bridges side by side. You can. It's two bridges side by side, and at each end, where those grates are, the expansion grates are, they're 1 metre wide each, and that's so you've got 2 metres span that the bridge expands in hot weather. You know, it's you don't realise that.
The simple laws of physics happen there just in the same way as they do on a piece of railway track or anything else.
And it's all concrete. It was made of concrete tubes, wasn't it? And the tubes were latched on. They built out from the piers to meet it.
Phenomenal piece of engineering.
Absolutely. And of course it's hollow. Being a tube, it's hollow, and all the services run right the way across, don't they?
And in fact, they're quite often working underneath there at different times of the year, doing bearing maintenance and that sort of thing. Right. That goes on, completely oblivious to what's going on at the top of the bridge.
I do see people abseiling over the top there sometimes, and I think, why don't we get that? But it's a long way up, isn't it?
To be doing that.
It's a long way up.
150 foot, I think it is, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah. I think it
down
is.
to the water's level.
In its time, when it was first built, that was leading edge, wasn't it? That was very, very much the leading edge of bridges. We were one of the first, and it's a fantastic. That has probably made so much difference to the economy of this area, just by building a bridge. I know it wasn't cheap, but before, when everyone had to go through Ipswich, that was a nightmare.
Can you imagine that now?
You can't.
Yeah, when you think of 60,000 vehicles a day now using the Orwell Bridge, or 60,000 vehicle passages across there.
Well, the dock would never have expanded.
Deemed to be full up in effect at the moment, so we're going to have trouble down the line if we get a significant increase in traffic coming from the dock, because it'll make it.
Well, as I say, that the docks would never have expanded. The lorries just would not have got through. No, so something like. So where do you go from there then?
It's quite interesting. You sort of go up a lovely formal set of steps to get up onto the bridge. But when you get to the other side, when you get to the worsted side, in fact, you sort of scramble down the bank on the other side.
There's no steps.
The area of outstanding natural beauty have actually put in. They cut out some steps, but it's a country walk type step as opposed to a concrete step. Get down there. You walk across the fields there in front of the Suffolk Food Hall. and then you just about touch the main road that goes up to the Freston Boot.
Yes,
but then the path then diverts up through Freston Woods to Freston Church.
This is actually a footpath.
There's a proper footpath there, yeah. And
so it goes up past the food hall.
It goes right past. Cuts the path. You know, the lane that goes up to the food path. It cuts it about halfway between the road and the food hall itself, and you can carry on just straight across the field there. And actually, you end up hitting the main road a bit further along.
Yeah.
Like you say, once you join the main road, you then immediately go off it, and go up through Freston Woods to the Freston Church, and then turn along the little lane there, brings you out by the Freston Boot, and then you cut across around the back there. But actually, there's a little sort of group of houses there on the other side of the road, and the footpath goes right between them, and then carries on then down into Wolverston. And that was our second stage.
When you get up into Freston Woods, that's a renowned area for deer, isn't it? There's a lot of deer around that area.
There's deer around. I've never seen them there. I've seen them on the road that sort of joins Worsted across to Belstead. I've walked in the woods there and just seen a tremendous number of deer racing through at Scrubman. I remember being there just after the hurricane, 1987 hurricane, and all the scrub was rebuilding, and you had these deer sort of jumping over. Quite amazing sight.
Well, we drive to Holbrook once a week. My friend owns a pub there.
Oh, right.
So as you drive along the road, when you turn off the main road to Shotley, when you turn off to go to Holbrook, we've seen deer jump the hedges there many a time, and cars knock into them and things. Luckily, we've not had tragedy of hitting one yet, but very often you have to bear in mind that they do jump the hedges there and they come straight across the road.
Well, a colleague of mine at the county council actually was coming back from, I think it was like the by-election night recently. He'd been working in Norwich, just going back to Newmarket, so it was on the A11, and just coming down that stretch between Norwich and Thetford, he actually had 3 deer come up right in the middle of the main A11. 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
It's not a good place to be.
No, absolutely.
He ended up doing quite severe damage to his car. Fortunately, he escaped it himself, but nothing you can do.
Did you know that, this is just a little fact on the aside here, if you hit a deer with your car and kill it, obviously deer is worth a lot of money to a butcher, you're not allowed to take it, but the next person along the road can.
Not a lot of people know that, Mike.
Not a lot of people know that. So if you smack into it and do a few grand's worth of damage to your motor, you can't actually take the deer to a local butcher. You're not allowed to. But somebody coming along the road finds roadkill.
I've just found this deer in the street.
Yes, would you like it? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, up at Freston as well, because you've got the Freston Boot, which was a renowned pub. It's now shut, so it's been shut for a long while.
There's a sold sign on it just very recently appeared, so whether it means it's coming back to life soon,
I really don't know. I did hear that the owners of the food hall had bought it.
Oh, right.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's hearsay, but But also at Freston, on the other side of that main road, you've got Freston Tower. Do you know of Freston Tower?
I know of it, yes. In fact, my sister stayed there on one of its few open days. Yeah. But I've never been in it myself. I might have taken the yellow pages there years and years ago when I was doing that sort of work.
Well, for people that don't know, the Freston Tower is a square tower. It's just a square tower sticking out of a field. It was built by some guy
it was a folly as well.
It was a folly, that was him. It was a bit of fun, wasn't it, for him? And he built this tower, and people do actually live in it. You can actually hire it out for holidays, and it's in a wonderful position, isn't it? It's on the bank of the Orwell there.
And looks right down towards the bridge and on into the town.
It's got a fantastic view, and it is actually open to the public, I think 2 or 3 times a year it's actually open to the public. It's worth a view. I've been down and had a look, and it's well worth it. But going back to your walk, how many miles have we covered now?
Well, I suppose we must have done about 10 miles up to Ravensworth, about another 6 miles round to Wolverston, so that's probably about 16 miles of it.
So we're round the back, you're heading off towards Holbrook, actually, are you not?
Well, that was some little way to go before we got that far, because the next day we caught the train to Ipswich and the bus out to Wolverston to rejoin the place where we'd...
you didn't camp up or anything?
Oh, heavens no.
Or stay in a local alehouse? No, you caught the bus back.
Take advantage of my concessionary bus ticket as well.
Absolutely.
Well, not for the 10-year-old. You pay for the 10-year-old, but you get it free yourself. Which
you have to have one.
That's slightly odd, but there we are.
So
we went on from there and sort of carrying on the, if you like, the south bank of the Orwell, down to Shotley. Now, actually, we got round Shotley and then as far as Wharton the next day.
So you actually walked all the way to Shotley?
Oh yes,
That's a fair trot on its own down there.
Well, it's quite nice through. So after you left Wolverstone, then you're around the back of the Ipswich Girls' School.
That's right.
And then you come out at what was the name of the next place? Pen Mill. And through the woods in Pen Mill, which is absolutely superb.
Button Oyster is it?
Yeah, Button Oyster is there, as you were saying. And then it then goes into sort of quite a much more desolate area, sort of facing Livingston at that point, where you're splendid isolation down there. Really, you could be anywhere, and again it was glorious weather, so there was no problem with that at all.
Then you head back
quite windswept if you weren't. And so it's always interesting at Shotley there with the marina. And I think another thing that's quite interesting here, we're talking about starting off around the back of the dock and around the Trinity Terminal. You're so close to it there that you don't get a real appreciation of the scale of it. When you're on the other side of the river, you can just see what an enormous business it is.
They had the largest ship in the world there last year sometime, and we took a camera round to Shotley to see it because it was parked right on the end of the quay, and you're very close, aren't you? Yeah. And you do get a fantastic view of the dock.
I'll come to another bit of the story later on, but completely illustrating the point that you're making there. But like you say, you do get a real good idea of the expanse. Even when you're at Shotley, like the new piece of dock 7 and 8, it looks quite a long way away. It was actually empty the day we were there.
Yes.
But
there was a big one in there yesterday. Massive.
They don't stay for long.
No? So, I think the turnaround's probably about 3 days. I would have thought.
Probably less than that.
Probably less than that. Yeah.
And then up to Wharton, so you're back really in the countryside again there, and again that was a convenient place to pick up a bus going back, and that took us back to Ipswich, back here to Felixstowe. The next day, because of the way those buses run, I mean they're not. It's a 2-hourly route. One goes via sort of the Wolverstone side, the other goes on the south side, goes Wharton and Harkstead, Lower Holbrook, and rejoins the road at Preston. We decided the best thing to do would actually be to go to Manningtree and walk back.
Wow!
So we're back to Catawade and then on to Lower Holbrook and then on to Harkstead that way. And that was slightly the undoing, because I say although the thing is called the Stour and Orwell Walk, this book is written actually the way round, the Orwell and the Stour Walk, if you like.
It is, yes.
And so everything is just back to front, and we missed our footing at Lower Holbrook and ended up thinking to myself, why is it the hospital school isn't far away? Still basically I was walking a circle around it. And then of course when we realised what we'd done, we were able to regain the footpath. But we never actually found the right place to come off there. But we managed to continue on to Harkstead and then back to the shop corner at Wharton, which has no shop. And then this was the nice bit, to be able to catch that bus that would have been going into Shotley to come back and take you to Ipswich. We were actually there in time for it to take us to Shotley. Yes. And then of course we came back on the ferry. And of course, that was particularly spectacular that afternoon, because I had to wait for one of those very large container carriers to go off. So there's us in this little ferry, right underneath the massive back end of the Don Giovanni.
They are huge, aren't they?
Absolutely massive. I've got a lovely shot which I'm going to submit for that photography competition next year, because it really is.
But we did a bit on the tugs here. We went out on a tug.
Oh, that's good.
And they took us out and they pulled one of those boats in. And when the boat is coming in at quite a slow speed, but it's quite steady, the tug goes out and it goes alongside and they drop the lines down. And then the tug goes right in front. So the boat is coming towards you and the tug is going in reverse at the same speed. And they're very, very close. The bulbous piece on the front, just below the waterline, was sort of just in front of 10 foot away. And you think, gosh, we're close. And you look up and the boat is over the top of it. It is massive. They are absolutely huge, aren't they, And that was quite, in itself, a little bit scary, because anything goes wrong with this boat reversing, that big one's not going to stop, is it? You're going to make absolutely no impact.
The ferry master was very well aware of it. He's getting instructions all the time. From
absolutely. But that was fantastic. The workings behind the tugs pulling a big boat in, and they spin that round and plonk it up against the dock. Skilled work.
The point that I'd like to make about this, this little exercise is this. I mean, that is just a fantastic walk to do. It's not unbelievably, because it's not an awful lot of uphill and downhill. It's relatively on the level. Yeah. It's easy to do over a period of time. It's easy to do to connect in with public transport, so you don't have to take your car or walk back to your car. You don't have to duplicate any of your walk at all. Yeah. And at every stopping point, there's good refreshment facilities. You mentioned, the Pinmill, Button Oyster is there. There's the shipwreck at Shotley. Mm-hmm. Everywhere you go along the route, there's somewhere to stop and have a break, or so you can take back food. But you could be anywhere, and if the weather's nice, it's glorious.
How many walks are there in that book?
You got the 3 walks: the Suffolk Coast Path walk, which as I mentioned, we did that last year, and there's also the Sandlings walk, which starts in the centre of Ipswich, goes out across Rendlesham Forest, and ends up at Walberswick. So that's another. But it's an interesting book just to have a read of, quite apart from if you want to do the walk itself. But,
that's absolutely.
I would really invite anyone to have a crack at it. It's not that hard.
So in Felixstowe here, I don't. You probably all walk past it or drive past it. On the way to Old Felixstowe or the way to the ferry, on the right hand side, there's a hut in a car park that sells teas, coffees, ice creams. Just as you go along the top, where the you've got the green.
Just where Cliff Road has a slight.
That's it. Yeah. Anyway, we go there quite often, and you get a sandwich, and you can go and sit. He puts all tables and chairs out at the back, and we were there the other day, and it was absolutely gorgeous day. The sun was shining, and I was looking out onto this. You can see down the harbour towards the Old Felixstowe. You can see out to sea. And you've got the beach huts and things below. And I said to my partner Rosemary, I said, you could be anywhere in the world and you'd look at this and think, wow, that's fabulous. What a lovely, lovely view. You could be anywhere. And it was just great. And this is Felixstowe. Yeah. The great Felixstowe. There's some beautiful places here. Beautiful places. Well, we've taken up rather a lot of time on that. We were actually going to quickly mention, were we not, on the educational front. Mm. Because it's been exam result time, isn't it?
It has been.
And whether you could enlighten us a little bit on the results of the local, especially our new academy.
Well, I mean, I think that like the rest of the UK, there's obviously huge concern about how papers have been marked. I think it's particularly true around certain of the examination boards, because like most schools, you don't get a group of schools all taking the same examination. They're all taking examinations set by different examination boards. I think that's something actually Mr. Gove is wanting to iron out. But that's how it is at the moment. And it seems that some schools have been incredibly affected, because like all the indicators have been that they will get good pass rates, and in fact they've got significantly less. So that is quite a worry, but we heard on the radio this morning that in fact the Ofqual are going to sort of undertake quite a wide-ranging remarking exercise. So it's very difficult to read a comparison with last year or in fact any previous year, because undoubtedly the standards have changed. I think that it's most unfortunate for the young people tied up in this, because increasingly, in order to go on to sort of A levels, schools, colleges, and the sixth form college in Ipswich are looking for you to have those 5 good GCSEs with maths and English. I think because of this debacle, most of them are saying, well, we're going to take you anyway. Quite how the funding will end up, I don't know. But that's obviously something that's going to come out in the wash, and I think probably as a consequence of the challenges that are now being made. Because the fact is that had you taken that examination in January this year, it's quite likely that you would have passed in January. If you were a borderline case, you might have passed in January. You certainly wouldn't have passed in June. Because all those results are all bundled up for the sort of annual assessment, if you like. So if the standard has got to change, and there's plenty of people in the system who seem to think it has got to change, then I think that needs to be acknowledged at the beginning of the year so that the students know what they're targeting for. You can't have this sort of under the table gerrymandering of the standards, particularly over a sort of 5-month period between January and June, because this is people's careers that you're setting. If you start up with, say, a full year, you have got to reach the standard in order to be acceptable, then people know what they're targeting at. In this instance, nobody knew that. And I think that's really what a lot of head teachers are now going back to the off-call organisation to say, this is just not a tenable situation. Actually undermines the credibility of the examination. I'm all for increasing standards, and I completely agree with Mr. Gove that we shouldn't have continual grade drift in which every year it seems like a higher proportion of children are getting these good grades, and actually it's because of the way the paper's being marked. I mean, we want to know that it's broadly equivalent standard, otherwise the certificate means nothing when you actually present yourself to an employer, or later on when you're going to university. I mean, there's universities now who are expecting A-level pupils to sit entrance examinations, particularly on this area of endeavour, I wouldn't be against saying that standards have got to go up, but what I do feel is that people have got to know that at the beginning of their course, ideally at the beginning of the 2-year course, but certainly within the year of the final year in which you're going to be taking the exams, it wouldn't be fair. And I mean, even now, as I understand it, and I haven't seen the very latest figures, because not every school has released its figures. And at this stage, we are in that very provisional position where people don't have to release their figures. That comes out in a government statistical release much later in the year. It doesn't come out until usually at the end of December, beginning of January. Might be later, I think, this time. And that's the thing that you really make the comparisons to, because at the moment it's all based on these initial markings and the certificates children have actually been given. What the true statistical analysis can't really take place until later in the year. But that's not an excuse. I think at the moment we're looking like we're 2 or 3% down overall on our 5 good GCSEs with maths and English. But that's not good that we've had a reversal, but I think that could change quite a bit with these remarkings. So there's no point in trying to sort of hypothesise on it.
This is the first year of the academy as well.
Well, in terms of the academy, of course, I mean, obviously it's a mixed bag there. I think we've seen an increase in what former Orwell students have done, and not so good for what former Newman students have done in the past. But again, subject to these remarkings, I don't know which examination papers they took. That may well change again. So I don't think we should be drawing too much of a conclusion from it at the moment.
Well, Graham, thank you very much.
Is that the time up? That's half an hour gone very quickly.
I know, it is a half an hour gone very, very
time flies when you're enjoying yourself, folks.
I love talking about holidays, I love talking about our countryside, and I love talking about Felixstowe in particular.
I think the message of today has to be, there's an awful lot.
Get that book.
Is that
a local book?
That is a local book. It's published by Cicero, and I think it's a national company. But you can certainly get that in good bookshops. You can also get it from the area of Outstanding Natural Beauty Office in Woodbridge.
And are these walks for all ages?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do what you can for how long you can. I suppose probably some of the walks are more difficult than others in terms of the difficulty of some of the footpaths getting a bit sort of waterlogged at times. It may not be completely plain sailing if you need to take a pram with you or something like that. But broadly speaking, they're public footpaths.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Graham. Anybody looking towards our Indian summer, which we hope we're going to get? I hope so. I haven't been on holiday.
We've not even talked about Art on the Prom this week.
No, we haven't.
Don't anyone forget Art on the Prom, because it'll be a fabulous day in Felixstowe.
It will.
Be here if you can. It's always a good day out.
It is. And last Saturday, which a lot of people don't know, the Paralympic flame was here.
Oh right, I didn't know.
But it was at Levington, and that was very, very good day as well, which you'll see on our website in a few minutes. Anyway, thank you very much, Graham. We've come to the end of our time. Thank you, viewers, for watching, and watch us.